Hello and welcome to the introduction of the diplomacy game. I'm Dozer/Dozette, and I'm gonna sort of just show you guys a bit more about the game and give you kind of a broad intro. Diplomacy is kind of like a diplomatic game, as you'd expect, and kind of like a war game. It's got really simple rules. Most of it comes from player interaction, rather than like what you do on the map. Like what you do on the map really matters, but a lot of it comes down to, making shady deals, making kind of sneaky alliances, saying you'll support someone, then not, or vice versa, stuff like that. If you ever look at the map, there's basically, 8 countries? So we've got England, the United Kingdom, we've got the Imperial State of Germany, or Germany, we've got Russia, Imperial Russia, Ottoman Empire, or Turkey, Austro-Hungarian Empire, and Kingdom of Italy, and France. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, actually. No. Yes. 7 countries. Man, I can't even count. Now, if you zoom in on the board, there's basically these little dots next to each of the capitals. Like if we look at Moscow, you've got that little black dot next to the country's flag. That means it's like a capital, and it generates units. Russia starts with 4, everyone else starts with 3, and basically there are 2 kinds of units in the game. There is effectively armies and fleets. We can see here for Russia, we've got little tanks to represent the armies, and ships for fleets. And the whole game is basically played in a series of turns where you give orders secretly to the arbitrator or the game master, which will be me. And then you enact those orders and see what happens, basically. So, for example, the Russia player might say, fleet in Sevastopol moves to Black Sea. And then I'd enact the order, and this is what would happen. Now, if the Turkish player had also said, fleet in Ankara moves to Black Sea, what happens here is they've only got, one fleet to one fleet, so nothing would happen. They'd both just go back to where they started from. And that's basically how the game works. Now, how do you take the Black Sea then? As, someone who's, if you've only got 1 to 1. What you can do is you can basically say, fleet in Sevastopol moves to Black Sea. So the Russian player does. Now, the Turkish player could have said something like, fleet in Ankara moves to Black Sea. Army in Constantinople supports fleet in Ankara's move to Black Sea. Now, the army can technically do that because it borders like a coastal region with the Black Sea. So that means there's 2 versus 1. So what would happen here is Constantinople wouldn't move because they're supporting, but this would take the Black Sea, and this would then have to choose to retreat. And it could retreat to Sevastopol, which is friendly. It can't retreat to I think it can retreat to empty regions. I might be able to go there, maybe. But basically, it would have to retreat. And now, since Turkish player has got another capital, or another control region with a black dot, it means they would get a new unit in the next phase. So it could build a new fleet or a new army. But as you see, now Ankara is undefended, technically. So the next move, this fleet could try and flank around maybe, assuming this doesn't do anything. But you basically play all your orders simultaneously and sort of see what the results are. Another special kind of move is Convoying. So there's basically hold, which means you just stay where you are. There is move, which is also attacking, basically, if someone's already in there. Like a move here, for example. Then there is supporting, just sort of explained. You can have sort of really crazy multiple wave supports, though, as well. You could have two countries supporting each other to take a region. Or you could have, regions supporting each other. The last move you can do other than support, so it's basically hold, move, support, and then there's convoying, which is how you move armies across big seas. So say in the previous turn, England had moved its fleet to the North Sea, and you wanted to go to Norway with an army, and this had moved to Edinburgh. You could say, fleet in North Sea, convoys army move to Norway, and then you go army move to Norway, army in Edinburgh move to Norway, and since there's a fleet here, unopposed in the North Sea, you can basically move through that to here. So that's basically the stuff you can do. So it sounds like a pretty basic game and not a lot of depth or strategy, I guess, would be just like how basic the game is. But where all the depth and strategy comes from is the talking. Between every move, you're going, say you're the Austro-Hungarian player, you say, instead of fighting Turkey, let's take like a region each. You can have, Romania and Bulgaria, I'll take Serbia and Greece. And then we push on Russia together. And we take their territory and become this sort of like Eastern hegemony. I've had a game where I was playing as Russia, where I said to Turkey, we should team up and become like the Eastern Empire and just push west. He initially agreed and gave me Romania. He took Bulgaria, Serbia, and Greece. While I was, pushing through Warsaw and Prussia and stuff like that. And then, sort of about mid-game, once we'd got to about Bohemia, halfway, we'd basically carved out the red player. They turned on me and did a betrayal. And that's kind of the fun you can have in diplomacy, is that it's all determined by human interaction, mainly. And secret deals and sneaky agreements. And it's pretty fun. It's very fun. Here, there's a couple of regions that are a bit weird. Some regions, like ships, can basically be on a region, as if it's, not on land, but like bordering sea regions. But with things like St. Petersburg, you've got obviously it touches the Gulf of Bothnia over here, and the Barents Sea up here. So you kind of have to choose which coastline it's on, I guess. So you can't just be like, I was in the Barents Sea, moved to St. Petersburg, then I moved to Gulf of Bothnia next turn. Like, you have to basically stay at a particular coastline. Like, go around that way. So stuff like that. There's a couple of little quirks. Like Switzerland, for example, right here in the middle is, it's not really a territory. Same with Ireland. It's marked, but it's not, like, playable. It's, like, abstaining. And you have a lot of regions that are neutral at the start of the game, but are worth taking because they are worth, like, building a unit. I don't know what they're called. Control zones? Capitals? I don't know. But yeah, it's sort of a broad idea if you'd like to play. We're setting up a Discord, which will have, private embassies and private voice chats for each of the countries. And, yeah, hoping to play soon and just sort of do it over a long period of time where you do, like, one order a day as a country. You can also play as teams. You can have 10 people in one country and you'll discuss, like, what you want to do as a country. That's quite fun. So yeah, just let me know if you want to play, and at the moment it's pretty open. There's not really a lot of people in the Discord just yet. Have a good one.